Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing. Hello. This video is my contribution to the Out with a Bang summer collaboration, the last days of summer. It's a challenge or collaboration that's running for the entire month of August. My date is August the 6th. Which is actually kind of cool because that's the day I met my husband, which would be 44 years ago on that day. So that's kind of cool how that happens, kind of a coinky-dink. But we've got 31 amazing collaborators. So I did this last year too, and it was a blast. The images, the digitals are gorgeous here. Now, I will preface this with saying, because of my prompt, I had a little bit of trouble using the digitals directly. So I'm going to be putting some tags into this pocket that we're making where we're doing this. This doesn't say. So this is the calendar of all of the creators. So I will link that below for you. And then this is the list of the collaborators and the days. So mine is Rust and Patina. And you wouldn't have guessed. Like most of you who watch me know that I do grungy all the time. I do a lot of mixed media, but I've never done Rust or Patina. So we're going to be doing that today. So I had to watch some YouTube videos to get a little bit informed. So, and this is just the main paper. So super fun. There'll be lots of freebies. This is hosted by Junk Journal Fix and Sunflowers and Doors Facebook group. So that's Julie's Papercraft and Sunflowers and Doors. That's Mandy over there. Excuse me, Mandy and Julie. So these will be linked below. I'm just going to set those aside, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of a look at some of the images, some of the digitals that I printed because I plan on using this in another project. So look at this. This is right up my alley. Look at that. Oh, so delicious. So I'm just going to flip through really quick and let you see what is here. I love these fragmented kinds of collage pieces. So really beautiful. I love the blue. I did a lot of blue in the library journal, which we'll be talking about in a minute. And I just love that. Absolutely love it. So I didn't print any of the papers that I wasn't going to use because there's two different kits, I believe, from Mandy, excuse me, Mandy and Julie. So, but I love these. Look at that. Oh, so delicious. And I love that as well. So really beautiful papers that they've created. That's not that. And some pockets and journal cards and things like that. That's for a folio. I actually printed some of these papers full page because these creators are in the UK, so some of my stuff got cut off, so I may have to reprint when I go to actually use some of this stuff. But really gorgeous stuff. So folio pieces, an envelope. This is like a side tuck. Which I think is a really great idea. And then some specimen window kinds of things, another envelope, and bingo cards, and lots of beautiful ephemera. Look at that. So I definitely am going to use this stuff. I am actually going to be doing a tabbed journal, vintage style. So these might work really, really well for that. So I'm thinking about using those. So yeah, look at, just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous artistry. So this is the one from Mandy. Excuse me, Mandy. I don't know why I'm doing that. I've had Amanda from Scrimping Mommy on my mind because I've been using her one of her kits. So my apologies, my dear. These are some of the words from the kits. I printed them two to a page because they were just too big for my liking. But that is just a sneak peek at the Sunflowers and Doors kit, which is the one I am using today. So let's talk about what I'm doing. So I have been working on two Grungy Library Journals, and they are definitely in that patina rust kind of feel because they're grungy, and I need to do the cover. So what I'm going to do on camera today, this is my sample, is we're going to make a pocket that is patina. Now I cannot replicate this. It is not going to turn out like this, guaranteed. I'm going to try, but you can never kind of remanufacture. But there's layers, and there's some ceramic stucco is what we're going to be using for our stenciling. And so we've got some beautiful texture in there. I don't know if you can see it. It's difficult for me to hold things up to my camera because my autofocus is off. But I've wanted to bring in some of the teal that's a part of the journal, and the journal cover fabric, which is an Tim Holtz eclectic fabric, which if you guys are followers of mine, you've seen that project. So this is layers and layers and layers of paint. So we're going to be doing that today. And so I mentioned that I was struggling with how do I use the digital papers for the effect that I want, the technique that I want to do. And there's no way to do it because I would be covering up all of this beautiful stuff. So I decided to go ahead and make 2 large tags to go in the pocket and a swing tag. So this is a 4 tag, staggered tags. So, and then I had this beautiful brad, so that worked out perfectly. I made some aged tape to go with the colors that I wanted. So we'll be adding some of this to our ephemera here for the project. But we'll do that while we're waiting for other things to dry, because this is going to be a patience situation. So there's a lot of drying time when you are doing mixed media. So I went ahead and scored my edges a 1/2 inch from the edges. So let me just fold that for you so you can see what I'm talking about. And what we're going to be doing, because I want to preserve those flaps, I don't want them to get all grungy and painty. So what I did is I went ahead and scored that. I probably will ink those edges just so that they stand out for me. Give me just a second. But I'm going to tape it down because I want to make sure that I can see those edges, and I can see where to put my tape. And I'm going to tape it onto this board so that it's easy to move out of my way. So this is just a piece of chipboard from my scrap drawer. So we're going to tape this down. Now I think I do want a thumb notch in this, so I've got my circle punch here. It's just a 1 inch, and I'm going to, again, I've never done patina. I've never done this. I mean, I do mixed media, but this is the patina rust thing was like, oh no. I kind of panicked a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to do. I've been thinking about it for like 3 weeks, and I finally was like, you got to just settle on something, Cara-Renee. So it's good to be pushed, though. It's good to be challenged because we can get in the box of our own bubble of creativity and we don't grow in that place. So I'm going to put blue tape, painter's tape, around all of this just to hold it down to my chipboard so that I can move it around. When I was doing it all on my own with the other one, I just taped it to my table, and that was a little bit challenging. So I'm just going to put some tape on all of these edges. I think our top edge is going to be okay because I want to be able to get all up in that divot there. But this is going to allow us to not get those tabs infected with paint and texture and bulk, which could make life very difficult. So we are ready to go. So our first step is to apply the ceramic stucco. The video I watched, she used Tim Holtz grit paste, but mine's all dried up because I haven't used it in too long. I'm going to use this Tim Holtz Flourish stencil. Mine is a little bit wonky. It's old. I'm thinking about getting a new one just so that I have one that's not so messed up. But we're going to start with this. And again, there's going to be drying time, so we will just speed through that part. And we're going to try to exercise patience in that process because I'm not very patient with drying time. Okay, and I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the top, probably in a couple places here, just to show you an easy way to keep your stencil still. So I can go kind of on this edge here too, and just mask that off. And then my stucco is also pretty dried out. I haven't used this in a while, but it's good enough for what I want here. So I'm just trying to get it a little bit to the top here. And we're going to go ahead and just apply this all over here, and then we'll have to dry because then I need to move the stencil over. So we'll just have to exercise patience. I am trying to cover the entire area with the stencil. I want all of those bits. I don't want to miss out on anything here. Oops, I can't move that because I taped it down. Kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? I'm just going to remove that little bit. Let me grab a paper towel. There we go. Okay, and I've got a little piece of the stencil down here that moves, which is why I need to buy a new one, because it's like bent and it never works right. So I'm just going to try my best to get that to work. Okay. And then I like to go back in and scrape off any excess, okay, so that I can mostly see that stencil and not globs of this paste. So there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go wash this stencil, and I'm going to dry this this texture, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it doesn't take a long time to dry because it's a different makeup. Now, if you don't have the stucco or the grit paste, you can use regular texture paste too, but this created a really lovely texture. So this is how I had the stencil before. I want to flip it over so that I can continue this pattern here, okay, as best I can. I'm going to try to do that. So I'm just trying to estimate here how far over this needs to be to line up. It's a little difficult to see. So I'm going to just go ahead and go for it. And I'm going to, again, put a little bit of tape. Just to control the beast here. Okay. And we probably should put a little bit at the top here as well. Okay. A little bit more of the stucco. So dried out, oh my gosh. But it worked, so that's okay. And then after we do this, we'll have to dry again. There we go. Okay, so then let's just, oh, I missed a spot. I think right there. Okay, and then we're going to scrape off. Again, just this allows is for you to minimize the peaks that you get from your texture medium. So there we go. Okay, so let's pull that off and see how well we did. See how well we did? Oh, it's crooked, but that's okay. Oh man, that's okay. It's all right. I kind of suspected that might happen. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off again, and then we're going to dry this, and we'll come back and do our first layer of paint. Okay, I think we're dry enough right here. So I didn't talk to you about supplies yet in terms of paints and such. I have a lot because, again, I was practicing with the technique and I didn't really know what colors I wanted to use that were going to give me that result. I do know that I want to start with copper. Okay, that's a metallic. I didn't realize that was metallic. And then I've got cinnamon stick, peacock teal. These are all Deco Art Americana acrylic paints, which are my favorite craft acrylics. Burnt sienna, I don't think I used that before, but I want to compare. It looks like, nope, I used this, so we'll talk about that in a sec. So, sorry, peacock teal, cinnamon stick, quinacridone nickel azo gold. the bronze, my nickel azo yellow, golden fluid acrylic, raw umber, which is what we're going to be using, raw umber glaze to get some darkness into all of the cracks and crevices of our texture. And so I'm going to set those back aside. I've got some fluid matte medium. I have never run out of matte medium. I had to go down to the garage room and grab my, I used to teach mixed media, and so I had a bunch of these little containers with matte medium in them, so I was able to find one. I don't know what happened to my matte medium. I had a whole bottle, so it's somewhere here, but I can't find it. So anyway, I'm bummed about how that's misaligned, but you know, we will work with it. I also have some waxes. These are Art Alchemy waxes, Patina Green, Peacock, and Honey. So the thing with these is you can't heat, I mean, you can heat set, you can heat it, but it will kind of melt a little bit. So we'll see how we get along with that. I have my water bucket here, and some sponges and some brushes. I don't know what I'll be needing, but we're just going to put them there. I have a plate to minimize my messiness here because I just had it all over my glass mat when I was playing around. So we're going to start with the copper, and again, every layer is going to require dry time, so we'll have to be patient with one another. I'm going to cover this whole surface with the copper paint. I'm going to water it down. I forgot to get some water. Hang on just a moment. I had a water bottle, but it's not really squirting very well, so we're just gonna try to use this, see if we have better success. There we go. So I'm watering that down quite a bit because it's I want it to flow. Okay, so I'm just mixing that up. And I'm just going to quickly cover this whole surface with the copper. You do want to make sure that your texture paste, whatever texture medium that you used, is nice and was nice and dry, because if you don't, it'll get softened by the moisture of the water and the paint, and it doesn't always have the effect that you would like. So we're just going to do that. I'm just using up the rest of the paint here, and then we're going to quickly dry this, but let me show you what it looks like up close-ish. Again, I have to have my focus off because I get a lot of complaints about the automatic zoom and it makes people dizzy, so I don't use that anymore. So there we go. So that's the up close. Okay, so we're going to dry this really quick and we'll be right back. Okay, we are ready for the next step. This is what she looks like dried. So it's got that. I didn't realize it was a metallic bronze when I purchased it. I didn't have that color. Feels like I'm not quite dry, but I think we'll be okay. So I've put out a daub of each of the paints. So I've got the cinnamon. I did decide to go ahead and try the burnt sienna, and I've got my teal. So, and then I've also got the quinacridone nickel azo gold, which we'll be using. So there'll be some drying in between depending on how all of this works. So let's go ahead and start with the orangish color. I think this is the cinnamon stick. We're just going to kind of daub it on like that. And while it's wet, I do want to move pretty quickly, because while it's wet, I want to go in with the next color. So let's go ahead and do the burnt sienna as well. Oh, that's nice. You don't want to cover up all the copper though. So I'm just being a little bit, whatever. Got a lot there. So I'm going to switch my sponge just so I don't mix that up. So did I come in with teal? I think I did at this point. I'm trying to remember what I did before. Yeah, look at that. Again, just don't overdo it, but play. I mean, this is the beauty of this craft, is just the play time, just experimenting and seeing what happens when you do different things. You know, you'll get different results. So, you know, what they say about the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which I actually struggled with that, because I like to do what I know and I like to do what I'm comfortable with, and the comfort zone is not where we grow. So I'm going to come back in with some more of the cinnamon because I want to mute out some of that teal, that peacock color. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that cinnamon stick out here. So the teal is meant to be a supplement, not the star of the show, okay? So I'm muting that out. I'm able to mute out a little bit of that teal. We can bring it back in a little bit in another layer. So, oh, this is so pretty. I feel like we need a little bit more of that, that burnt sienna. That was a really great addition. A little bit of a darker tone of the orangish color that you often see with rust. I have rust powder, but I have no idea how to use it. I actually tried to look it up on YouTube, and I'm like, I didn't really find any videos on how people use that product. So I was kind of surprised. I bought it a while ago and just never got around to using it. So I'm coming back in with a little bit more of the teal, or peacock, I think it's called. And again, we don't want this to be the star of the show at this point. Okay, making sure that I'm getting all the way to my edges, because we don't want anything to be, because what's on the outside of this is white paper. So, okay, so let's go ahead and dry this really quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's what she looks like at this stage. Okay, so I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to add some of the Nickel Azo yellow. It's a very, very beautiful yellow, and I want to get more yellow in here as the next layer. So I'm going to put some of this out on my glass plate here, and I'm going to grab my sponge, and I need some paper towels. I did not grab any, which is odd for a mixed media project exploration. So I'm just going to get that rinsed off mostly, and we're going to go ahead and just drop in some of this Nickel Azo yellow. One of my favorite colors when I'm creating mixed media. Love it. It's just very, very vibrant. We may get a little bit of mixing here because not everything may be completely like set dry. So you do want to be cautious and not be too impatient. But I've been doing this a long time, so I can kind of gauge where everything is at. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe, and I'm just going to kind of dab some of that up. Lost a lot of our color, so that means we're going to have to go back in with some of our other colors, but that is okay. So I'm just going to wipe that out of my plate so that we can dip some more colors. I think I can go right in wet. So cinnamon stick, burnt umber, and the teal again. And again, we're not going to get the same result as we got before. So that's just not even possible. And it's not really even preferred, because we want to see what we can make happen. Because what happened here is we got a lot of green because it mixed with that yellow, that Nickel Azo yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with the cinnamon stick again. And try to bring, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's lovely. So mixed media is all about layers, and that's how you get the interest. It's sort of like watercolor, you know. Watercolorists, you can get kind of impatient because you think your project is not really turning out when you just haven't given it enough wait time. I'm going to go in with just a little bit of the burnt sienna. I don't want a lot of that. I don't want it to overtake. Okay. And then we're going to go in with a little bit of the teal as well. And then we're going to dry again, and then we will be doing a raw umber glaze, and I'll talk to you about what that is when we get closer to that step. Okay. We'll be able to highlight and accentuate the yellow and the peacock and the patina look in a bit when we use the waxes. So I do need to kind of calm that down a little bit. So I'm going to come in with a little bit more of the cinnamon stick. Okay. Feel good about that. So I'm going to dry this one more time. Okay. So let me show you what this looks like. It's looking a little bit dull, or it might just be my lighting, but it's gorgeous. Like I can see it's my lighting because I'm very pale. But I can see a lot of like that stucco texture right there, which is really cool. So we're going to set this plate aside for the moment, and we're going to do a raw umber glaze. So what a glaze allows you to do is what it does is it extends the life of your paint. And when you mix it with matte medium, so you mix your matte medium and your paint, and you create a kind of a runny, kind of a wash glaze texture or consistency, and then you cover your entire surface. And if you guys have watched my mixed media before, you know I do this all the time. There's rarely a video I don't do mixed media where I don't do a glaze. And then you can wipe it up with a baby wipe. So this is my raw umber fluid acrylic from Golden, and we are going to put about a quarter size, maybe a 50-cent piece size down, and then we're going to pour out some matte medium. Usually this is in a bottle, so I'm hoping that I can make this happen. So 1 part paint to 2 parts of the matte medium, and we're going to go ahead and mix that up right here on my glass mat. And I've got a lot because we're going to do this in multiple layers because we want a really dark bit. This is probably way more than I need, honestly, but so we're just going to paint that on. It can be kind of scary because it feels like you're just painting over all that beautiful work you did, but you're not. So you're going to see the magic in a second. Now, if you didn't let your paint dry enough, you might be surprised at what pulls up when you use your wipe to bring up some of this. But I really want this well saturated because I want it to go into all of those nooks and crannies that are created by that ceramic stucco and the stencil. Okay, so I'm going to grab a couple of wipes here. And I'm going to just start by just dabbing, okay? I don't want to really rub because I don't want to pull up that texture. Because again, I'm not a very patient crafter, and so sometimes I do it prematurely and I end up with a bad surprise, okay? So there's that. I love it. So I'm trying to think if that's where I want to land with this. I think I'm going to try to dab just a little bit more and bring back some of that color on the texture on the top, okay? I feel like that is really, really good. So I'm just going to try to bring this over. Now, they're not at all the same right now because I did a lot of magic on this when I was done. So, but I'm feeling pretty darn good about that. So I think we're going to go ahead. Well, let me show you what it would look like if you did it one more time. So let's do that one more time. Sometimes a second layer will seep into places that it missed before. Go through a lot of wipes doing this process, though. I do recommend a wet wipe or a wet paper towel or rag to do this process. Now you can also rub a little bit, but you want to be careful. Well, that's looking more like my original now. That second layer was a good call. Okay, so just going to dab a little bit here and there just to highlight some of the top bits. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this, clean up my mess, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have to always pull my project over because my cord doesn't reach long enough. So I'm just bending that so that it's a little bit flatter. So that's what she looks like now. I'm hoping this is showing up better on camera than it is in my monitor. It looks a little bit washed out, but You'll be able to see the close-ups in the photos at the end of the video as well. So we're going to bring over this bit again, and we're also going to introduce some other things. So I'm going to end with putting a little bit of copper with my finger just to skip on top of the texture in places. But I really want to bring out, so I think at this point I also came back in with the Nicolazo gold. So I'm going to put a little bit of that on my plate as well. It's really runny, and I'm just going to put my finger in it and just tap it off a little bit, and I'm just going to go here and there around the project here and just see if I can get that darker, really rich orangish color here. I did not get enough out of my bottle, so let me try that again. Stuff is expensive. I don't like wasting it, though I do waste it, unfortunately. So this, because this is a fluid paint, it's going to go down in places where the other paint would struggle a little bit more. So we're just going to do that. Now, I think how I was able to get some interesting green tones is I didn't wait for that to dry, and I went right in with my teal. So we're going to try that, okay? You don't want too much on your finger at this point because you don't want to flood your texture. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. But see how we're getting a different green here up in this corner? So that's really interesting, and that's because it's mixing with that Nicolazo gold. And in case I didn't say it, it's like my favorite color when I'm working a mix. It's my favorite color in a lot of arenas, even in watercolor. When I'm mixing a green, I love to use Nicolazo gold with my blue to make a green. So that's a lot of teal. So we're going to just dab it up a little bit. This is very much more tealish than my other one, but I think what I'd like to do is go back in with some of the Nicolazo and just get that to mix a little bit in places so that that teal is not taking over. I don't want the teal to take over. I just want it to be a subtle addition, a happy, beautiful addition. So like that, okay? So I'm going to dry this again, and then we're going to see what's next. Okay. Oh, it's so pretty. Again, I hope it's okay in the monitor. It looks a little faded out to me, but it's not. It's very, very vibrant. So I love it. I can see the copper shining through, which is really beautiful. And so I think, let's just compare it to this. This is a little bit darker still, but that's okay. They're not going to be the same. So we're going to go ahead and do a last step. We're going to put a little bit of copper on the surface as well. Again, just very, very sparingly, okay? I'm just going to come in with the copper. Now, you know, obviously in true patina, your copper is not going to sit at the top, but you're going to see elements of it under the layers, like in between the layers of the rust that's been naturally created. So I'm good with this. So beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. Now I feel like I've got a little bit much, so what I'm going to do is put more because, you know, I already have too much. And we're going to come in with a little bit of something else too. I think I'm going to go in with a little bit more of the Nicolazo gold, okay? It's going to mix maybe a little bit with that copper, but it's really pretty. Just get these layers are just so beautiful. And then I feel like we lost a little bit of our teal, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of that as well up in here. And by waiting to dry during certain layers, but not all layers, you get some beautiful, surprising mixes of color, which are really quite astonishing. So I kind of got rid of some of that bronze, so I'm going to come back with a little bit of bronze over here. And the bronze is going to kind of hang up on the texture. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. It's okay to rave about your own work, guys. It is okay. So I'm going to call that done. So let me do a quick cleanup here, and then we will pull the tape off, and we will look at our age tape and see what we want to do with that. Okay, I did forget that we haven't done the waxes yet, but we'll pull this tape up first. So when you are removing this tape, you want to pull away from you and, you know, cross your fingers that you don't pull a bunch of that paint off, because we've got a lot hanging over here, a lot more paint that's going over on the tape than I had in my experimental sample. So it's coming up okay though. So kind of pull away from the edge of your project. Okay. And I struggled with creating mixed media pieces like pockets and stuff for my journals, because you get that stiff edge on your pocket folds and it's really difficult to overcome. But this, creating your little flaps, is the answer, I think. So just pulling this tape off. Okay. And then we're just going to proceed up to the other side. And look at that clean edge. So cool. So cool. Okay, so let's get rid of this cardboard. And that is our pocket. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's do some wax. So with the wax, you can't really heat it afterwards. So we're going to come in with the honey. This is one of my favorite colors in the waxes. I'm going to put it directly on my glass mat here. And we're just going to bring in some of that yellow again, because I really like that. And the covers of my library journals, Grungy Library Journals, are have a lot of these colors in them. So, oh, so pretty. Don't want to overdo it though. There is such a thing as too much. Okay, so I'm going to leave that in case I want any more and not waste it. But we're going to come in with the peacock. This is peacock. This is again from Art Alchemy, which is Finnabair, I believe. So see the vibrancy of that wax over the top of that texture. So beautiful. Again, we don't want to overdo the teal. Okay. I mean, I want it, but I don't want it to be in charge. Okay. So that's great. And then we want the patina. So this is the final patina. And I really was surprised by what this looked like, because it's a different kind of green, but it mixed with the peacock, and it created a really beautiful color that made it look more patina, which is what we're going for. This is oh, that was way too much. Let's see if I can wipe that up. There we go. That was way too much. So just a patina here and there. So pretty. And you can see I'm kind of moving around the piece to get an even distribution there. And I am going to come in with a little bit more of that teal, because I went really heavy over there with the patina. So again, you guys will be able to see the close-ups of this. It might be hard to see on camera, but you'll be able to see that soon in the photos at the end of the video. So I'm going to just wipe that up. I'm going to dry this, since I just wet my table and I don't want to get this soggy. Okay. And so this is our pocket. So when this is completely dry, I will bend that all in, and I'll probably ink that inside. Oh, look at that messy edge. It's okay. I could have put tape there too, but I wanted my thumb notch, so it's the price I have to pay. So let's pull over the ephemera from this beautiful kit from Mandy. Got it right, Mandy. Let me just cap these up so I don't lose my lids. There we go. And I used to have all these waxes in a tin, but the tins dry up, the tubes do not. At least it's not so far. So what I did is I wanted to create those same colors in my my faux tape. So I just used my alcohol inks. And I thought we would put some of this tape on some of these tags and just accentuate a little bit. So let's go ahead and pull some off. I haven't done this in ages, so I'm hoping that I'm going to like it, because I always forget to do H tape. But I'm going to go ahead and just cut that right there. And let's go ahead and put, I want it kind of up here so that it can be seen, okay? Because this is part of the color scheme of my, of the library journals, and that's what this is for. So let's get another piece. That edge looks really strange, doesn't it? Let's see if I can reverse this. There we go. I don't really work with H tape, so it's kind of different. I love that. Look at that. So cool. So let's do the same on this one, but let's go ahead and bring in some of these oranges. I liked this one, and the reds were really pretty. It was kind of difficult to find the right colors I wanted in my alcohol inks, but we'll just do the same here. Put some H tape up there, wrap it around. These are just, again, alcohol inks, so let's just get a longer piece here. I want that bit of that blue, so let's go down here at the bottom here, okay? And I'm just going to wrap that one around. I don't want to waste this piece, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim it off. I only created one strip with those colors. Oh, look at that red. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So let's go ahead and put this up here at the top. Why not? Okay, so that's our age tape. So we do still have our stacked tags. What did I do with them? And so we'll do a little bit here as well, but these need to be smaller. So I'm thinking I can cut them. I can tear them in half. Maybe, I don't know. Let's go to the back here. So these are beautiful digitals, you guys. So beautiful. How about we go down here to the bottom? Now these ones I'm going to cut off because I don't want to affect the writing space. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim that off. And then I'm just going to grab that so I don't lose it. Yeah, this one I don't mind losing. It's smaller. So beautiful. Oh my gosh. This tape seems really wide. Is it wider than normal cello tape? I'm not sure. Let's try a smaller piece. Let's just try to trim this one in half. I should be able to do it right. I wonder if it tears. Oh yeah. That's how long it's been since I've worked with this stuff, my friends. Okay, so that's that. That was a really big piece. So let's do something over on this side and get a hold of this. My hands are always such a mess after I do mixed media. Oh my gosh. Let's just do that. And I'll just wrap that one. And let's just put this one on this little one. And I am going to cut that off. Again, I don't use H tape, so I don't even know if this is looking cool or not, but it is what it is, as they say. So let's just tuck that one. So I feel pretty darn good about that. So let's use this last piece here on this second to the smallest one. Okay. Actually, I'm going to move that over. So I got the point to the edge there. And I'm just going to cut that off because it's a little bit big. Okay, so then I'm just going to use my sample to show you how all this stuff would work since this is completely dry. But this would get glued to your surface, so I'm thinking about putting this on one of the journals on the cover. So that's that, and then these would stick in obviously here. Okay, with that beautiful washi sticking up the top. This one goes down further than the top one. I'm going to have to put more on that one. Let's do that now because I want to be able to see that on the top. So let's get this piece here. I want more of that to show. So let's just do that. I'm just going to trim that off. It's a pretty big piece there. And this washi tape, this faux washi tape took me like 10 minutes to do. It was so fast. So I'm just going to trim, oh goodness gracious, the angle. Trim that off. I don't want to lose those pieces. They're so gorgeous. So gorgeous. So I just cut that corner. That's okay. So this one sits behind it, so then you can see that, the beautiful washi. But these images are just so stunning, and I've got a lot of people in the library journal, really old vintage people, so I thought this was a perfect project for that. And then I'm toying around, just as an added note here, I'm toying around with using some metals. So I went ahead and chose one of the images and shrunk it down. I'll be doing this off camera and putting it in this frame and distressing and patinaing that and putting it somewhere on here. I also played around with a key, and I played around with this bit here. This is a little bit too teal for me, but I'm just playing with some other ideas for finishing off how I use this project in the library journal. But that's the video for today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will be creating with these digitals. I'm just not exactly sure when. It feels like it's maybe a month out or so, but they're gorgeous. I've got tons of journals I need to finish, so I need to prioritize my stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching, and please do check out all of the collaborators will be linked down below in the video description box. You can also check out Sunflowers and Doors Facebook group. I can't remember the name. I moved the papers, but everything will be linked down below, so you can check that out. So all the supplies that I used will also be linked. So I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.